But in particularly, this morning, what came to me as important to share, because I've been struggling with this, often because of this feeling of being called by God. I put all this pressure on myself as to how can I best serve God? How do I bring this message to the world? How will it be shaped? But that's something that I'm doing. I'm now casting an image of God, of what I need to do to please God, of what I need to do to be okay with God. From my own fear that is still with me in that case, that I'm not loved and accepted as I am, and that in being accepted as I am, my only responsibility to God is to express who I am, the beautiful creature that was created by the Creator, and just be that person, a part of that great being that has given birth to my own. So when I express myself as I am is when I'm serving God in the highest. The highest way that I can serve God is to simply be myself. And actually that came out of this relationship, because once I was sitting and I was in the midst of all my plans of how I was going to serve God and the concept of God and what is God and blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden I heard that whisper in my heart, you know, you spend more time thinking about me than you do just being with me. And the beauty of a new understanding based on personal experiential relationship, it's just being together. And honestly, God is never separate from you. That separation is something we create in our minds. As I was saying this morning, when I wake up in the morning and I'm making my coffee and looking out the window at the lemon trees and the birds and the cats and all the beautiful natural beauty of creation, I can see it through God's eyes because God's with me. The warmth of the coffee is me tasting and perceiving the warmth and the beauty of such a moment. And when I'm not disconnected, that beauty is with me all throughout the day and in everything that I do. I live and move and have my being in God when I relax and drop into my heart and am consciously aware of this communion that I share with God. So often when I then reignite in my mind what it is I need to do to serve God, I was walking in Florence and I was in the midst of making these plans in my mind, and again God whispered, all I ever require of you is that you be yourself. And I breathed a sigh of relief. Being myself is just finding the things in life that I love and expressing them fully. And when I think of the fear other people have of God and the fear that I spent my whole life having of God, it comes out of this God that we make out of our own image. In other words, it's born out of the fears of our heart, and we project intellectually in our mind all these things that God must want and that God requires of us. Perhaps this is what caused human beings to sacrifice other human beings and sacrifice animals and do everything to appease a God that they didn't understand. And they didn't understand because they didn't know. And when any person thinks that there's a God who wants to make you live a life that's not based on the truth of who you are, It's like, I created you as this, now don't be that. You have to remake yourself into another image. We're the ones who are projecting that image. And I, even the one who was daring to break free of the image projected by others, began creating my own image, which was just an imagination of my fears as to what I needed to do to be okay with God or to be able to fulfill that calling. And the beauty is the grace of God said, no, just be you. We live in a world right now where I think that's the great call. Be true to yourself. But to know that when you do that, that your Creator is there with you, empowering you every step of the way, that there's a greater love ready to be expressed through you, that there's a greater peace ready to be expressed through you, that there's a greater joy in living ready to be expressed through you, and that everything you create as an extension of that connection within your own heart is what you've been created for. I like to say the Creator created creation and then created creative beings.
3 times fast.
And gave them the power to create. The Creator created creation and created beings and imbued them with the power to create. And isn't it true? Aren't we creative beings?
Yeah.
An extension of this creation that is a mystery, and yet the mystery lives in us. So all you need to do is be who you are. And a new understanding of God is that that is God's greatest desire for you, just as it is your greatest desire for yourself. The two things come together as one. The creative being of the universe and the created being in you are here to grow into and express something that's based on love. So what is it? What do you love? What brings you peace? What brings you joy? Would you dare to imagine a life based on that, and that everything that goes against that, that seems like an imposition or obstacle of that, is just to root you more deeply into that and have the strength to express it and therefore overcome those obstacles. Fear is an obstacle to love, but will you challenge it and go beyond it and be who you are? So I find great peace. I wrestle with this at times, but God is my heart whisperer who keeps whispering to me. I knew I created you. I knew who you were before I called you. I called you because I love you. And all I ever expect is that you be yourself, because that's a beautiful thing.